Welcome back, folks. Where we left off last time, we had just got our ball to move, but it flew off the screen. So we need to put in some bounds here to make sure that the ball stays within the screen. It's going to bounce off the edges. So to do that, we're going to go into Code View, and we're going to find our timer tick, which is right down here. And we are going to put in some more if statements. So we need to check if the ball goes past a certain coordinate. I guess we'll start horizontally. So let me go ahead and pull up my screen here. So again, 0, 0 is going to be the top left. So the top left of the ball is the actual point that is used for the ball's location. Right here, the top left anchor point. So we need to figure out when that is going to go past this spot right here. So think of this as the y-axis right here. And since this is the point 0, 0, we just don't want the ball to go in the negative x direction, okay, or past that y-axis. So we're going to go ahead and put in an if statement to prevent that. If the ball box dot location dot x, so the x value of that ball is less than 0, meaning it's negative, then as soon as I hit enter, it puts in that end if for me. And now we're going to change the ball x direction. Okay, so that's the movement for our ball. Notice we're multiplying it right here. So instead of going in the negative direction, it's going to send it to the positive direction. So we want to say equals 1. So this means that the ball's going left and it has a negative x direction. So we change it to positive 1 so it goes the other way. Likewise, on the other side, if the ball box dot location dot x is greater than, and now to figure out this value, kind of give you a visual here. So the ball box is going to be coming over here to the right. It's going to be increasing its x value, but then it's going to hit a certain value, and we need to have it bounce back. So notice if I put it right on the edge here, remember the top left is that location of the box. So what we really need is the width of this box, and we want to set the location to the width taken away from the width of the entire form. What's nice is that we actually have that value stored using a command here. So we want to see if the x location is greater than me.width. Now this is probably the first time we've talked about me. Me refers to the actual form. Okay, so we're on form 1, so it's talking about this whole screen right here. So when you say me, you're grabbing that specific object and then grabbing the width of that. So it doesn't matter what you sized your form to. It doesn't matter if we go out here or come in here. It's going to do the same thing. So greater than me.width. We're not done though. We need to subtract the ball box dot width as well. And that gives us that left anchor point. Now I had to play with this a little bit earlier. I was doing a little bit of side testing earlier. We might have to subtract a little bit more than this to see what the x value is, but we'll leave it at this for now. All right, and likewise, we're going to set the ball x direction, and we want to make it go back to the left, so we're going to do -1 here. So that works for the left and the right. We're basically going to do the same type of thing, but we're going to do it for an up and possibly a down. Okay, so let's work on the up. So if ballbox.location.y, okay, so go back to our visual here. Here's our ball box. So as our box increases in height, it's going to hit the top and we want it to go down. But remember, again, y-axis is kind of backwards here. So 0, 0 is here. The y value is actually going to be decreasing as it comes up here. So as soon as it hits the top, we want it to come back down. Okay, so as the y value is less than, now if we put in a value of 0 here, all right, 0 is going to be the top. We are eventually going to put in some information at the top up here, some information for the player like the score or the level or lives, different things like that. So we want it to be a little bit below that. So I'm going to use a value of 30. That seemed to work for me. If you don't like that, you can change it later. Just remember where we put it. And then ball Y direction, we're going to change back to a positive one so that it sends it back down. Okay, so what makes it nice to make sure that these are working, we can actually put in what's called a debug statement. Okay, so to do that, we're going to do system.diagnostics, if I can spell it right, there it is, .debug.writeLine, there we are. And now we can just type in a string, very similar to how we did a message box in our last project. So what this does is gives us an opportunity to go ahead and write in a statement that'll be projected into our output. And I'll show you how that works. So for example, right here, we can just say ball reached left side of screen. Okay, and we'll actually see that message down in the bottom if that actually occurs. That just helps to make sure that this event is actually being called, meaning it's working properly. All right, I'm going to copy and paste this down here in this event. So you can say ball has reached right side of screen. And lastly, ball has reached top of the screen. Okay, we'll go ahead and create the bottom for now, but eventually this is going to make the ball kind of disappear, or the game reset, because they lost a life. They're supposed to bounce the ball back up before it hits the bottom of the screen. So for this one, similar to how we did the me.width for left and right, only now we need me.height. So we're going to grab the entire height of the form and again subtract the ball box width. And probably going to have to put another subtraction value here just to make it look right, but we'll let it go at that. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and paste in this, so ball reached bottom of screen. Okay, let's see how that works. All right, here's your output right down here. Ball reached bottom of screen. Okay, let me play that again, show you those messages one at a time. So right side, top side, bottom. Now the reason this is repeating is because we haven't changed its actual direction here. We just put in a message. Next thing, let's go ahead and get this ball to start right off of the paddle. So I'm going to go ahead and bring it down. I want its start position to be about right here. Okay. If your ball box is over the paddle like this, where you see that little background in front of the paddle, not really what we want. Just right click on the object and you have these different layers, so to speak. You can send it forward, send it back. So go ahead and click send it back. That means all the other objects will show on top and then you won't get that. Okay, so we got the ball where we want it, or at least where we want to start it at. And now I'm going to go ahead and set ball stuck back to true. Okay, make sure that is true up at the top because we want it to be stuck to the paddle first. And now you can use the mouse if you want to set up the hold of the ball for the paddle. I'm going to use the space bar just so there seems natural. Instead of using the mouse at all to play the game, I'm going to have them use the keyboard. So I'm going to change that key right here. We're going to use our select case block that we've created. So even though it's not really a movement, but it's still going to be an action that the game can check. Okay, so if case keys.space is pressed, now we're going to check and see if the ball is actually touching the player box. And the way we're going to do this, we're actually going to use it quite a few times, but just once here. We're going to check if the ball box, and when we use the predetermined property bounds, this basically grabs the outside of the box, basically the border you can think of. So we're checking if the border of the box, or the border of the ball, dot intersects with, so we're seeing if it overlaps basically. And now inside parentheses, notice it's asking for a rect, which is a rectangle. We need to give it the size of another rectangle, and we're going to check and see if it overlaps with the player box. Okay, and again, we need to use a rect, so we have to place in the bounds for the player box as well. So we're going to check to see if they're overlapping. That's basically what this is saying. Then we're going to set ball stuck to true. So this will work if the ball runs into the player paddle and they have the space key down. But what we're really concerned about to start the game is this one here with the key up. Similarly, I'm going to put in a new case here, case keys.space. So this is going to check if the space key is lifted up, and we're simply just going to say the ball stuck is false. As soon as that happens, remember the timer tick, this is called every millisecond, whereas this is only called when the up key is lifted. As soon as we set this to false, it's going to run this code, which is going to make the ball move, because it's using the ball speed and not the player speed. All right, let's test that out, see what we got. Okay, so right now, it seems like it's following the player box like it's supposed to. As soon as I hit the space key and lift off, there we go. Sends up, hits there. The ball seemed to have gone through the player paddle. Huh, silly me. So we have programmed the ball to check if it's intersecting and set ball stuck to true if space is pressed. However, we never actually put in the check to see if the ball actually hit the paddle. So what I'm going to do is put it right below my ball movement. That seems a good fit for me. You can basically put it anywhere in this subroutine here in the timer tick, but that seems like a best fit for me. So we're going to do if ball box dot bounds dot intersects with player box dot bounds. Then, so basically this is saying if the ball box or the ball intersects with or overlaps the player paddle, then we're simply going to reverse the direction that the ball is going. So we're going to send it back upwards, which is changing the direction to a -1. And since that direction is being multiplied by the ball speed, it's basically going to make the speed negative, which makes it go up. All right, lastly, I'm going to go ahead and put in my debug statement here so we can see that in the output, making sure that it's being called correctly. So we're going to say ball, hit, paddle, or something to that similar effect. Doesn't need to be exactly that, but short and sweet. All right, that should be enough to get this going. I'm going to go ahead and give it a play test. All right, so I'm moving around. Right now I'm getting a bunch of messages that says ball, hit, paddle. That makes sense because it's stuck right now. I think I'll bounce it off the right side. Bam. All right, you get those messages down here. Reach the right side, top, paddle, left, top. If that doesn't seem to be bouncing in the right spot, go ahead and change the Y value in your code. So that was right here. If I can find it. Right here, that Y value. Double check that. All right, earlier you saw the ball go through the block. We haven't really programmed that yet, so it's kind of ignoring it for right now. That'll be in our next video. We'll set that up and get the block to disappear at the same time. Okay, seems to be working properly. One thing that, well, I just noticed is that, that the player paddle can go off the screen. We'll have to prevent that as well. All right, I'm going to go ahead and let this go, and you get those messages where it reached the bottom of the screen, and it keeps going. Okay, we'll have to get that set up as well. So we got our work cut out for us, but we got a good deal going on here. All right, hope you guys are enjoying this. I really like this a lot, and think this is going to be an awesome project. If there's anything in the video that is hard to follow, or you think I'm doing a good job or not doing a good job of, just let me know, and I'll try and update it for the next one. If there's anything you're interested in, you want to change about the game and kind of see if we can make happen, let me know, and I'll make sure, see if we can get that in here. All right. good job, guys, and we'll see you in the next one.